After Dad's funeral, my husband revealed an unexpected $210 million and shocked me with divorce. The day began heavy with grief. At the church, mournful whispers mingled with the soft rustle of tissues and hushed sobs. All eyes were on Sarah. She stood at the front, a frail silhouette against the sunlit-stained glass, beside her father's casket, heartache pulsing like a drum in her chest. He was a hero, the pastor's voice cracked, and the words charged the air, making it thick with emotion. Sarah's father had fought in wars, saved many lives, and now, the town's beloved war veteran was gone. As friends and neighbors shared tearful stories, Sarah felt the waves of love and loss collide, washing over her in an overwhelming surge. After the final remarks, she caught a breath beside Mark, her husband. The warmth of his hand in hers felt reassuring for now. They were a team, always had been. But as the last of the attendees trickled out, a silence descended between them, pregnant with unspoken words. One moment, they were just a grieving couple, unable to process the loss, and the next, Mark was shifting his gaze, words tumbling from his lips with a weight that knocked the wind out of her. "I inherited a fortune, Sarah. $210 million, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The words hung in the air, a cruel joke. She blinked hard, waited for laughter, but it never came. Instead, as he continued, her heart plummeted with each confession. The money was tied to her father's secret, a hidden life that spiraled into a world that included escape routes, dreams of grandeur, and illusions of freedom. And alongside that windfall came an ultimatum. Mark wanted out. He didn't want to be anchored down anymore. He spoke of exploring life without family ties, without responsibilities. Stunned, Sarah felt like a ship lost at sea. "You're joking, right?" The betrayal cut through her, and the shock tasted metallic on her tongue. Just days ago, they were planning summer vacations with their 2 kids, snuggled on the couch watching movies. Now, she stood frozen, breath caught in her throat, as tears threatened to spill along the corners of her eyes. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the words rushed past her, oxygen seemed scarce. He was leaving her just like that. Anguish filled the room, intertwining with the comforting buzz of community members who had come to honor her father, oblivious to the internal hurricane battering her spirit. Sarah needed a lifeline. She turned to her friends, the close-knit women who had shared cups of coffee and laughter over playdates. They gathered around, their empathy a balm on her wounded heart. But as whispers spread through town, rumors painted Mark in a light she never could have imagined. Tales of sudden ambitions and dreams contradicted everything they had built together. Torn between fighting for her family and understanding the man she thought she knew, hope flickered in the shadow of despair. The moment she realized their life was teetering on the edge, a flicker of resilience ignited within her. Sarah was determined to uncover the truth behind her husband's radical transformation. What had her father truly left behind? And what did the inheritance mean for her family? As she spiraled deeper into the maze of grief and betrayal, a storm brewed just on the horizon, one that could change everything forever. The following days moved slowly, each tick of the clock echoing the whirlwind of turmoil in her heart. Sarah focused on the logistics of her father's death, dealing with phone calls from funeral homes and sorting through the mountain of floral arrangements and sympathy cards. Grief hung thick in the air, but a new tension swirled alongside it, the specter of Mark's unsettling announcement. If shadows of doubt clouded her already heavy heart, Sarah found herself peering into corners of their home, memories clinging tightly. She stood in the kitchen, remembering the laughter shared over dinner, watching Mark play with the kids at the living room table. The ache was profound. How could the man she thought she knew so well morph into someone unrecognizable overnight? To cope, she busied herself with plans for the kids, playdates, movie nights, games in the backyard. For every smile she painted on her face, a part of her felt hollow. The children sensed something was amiss. asking questions that sent shivers down her spine. "Why is Daddy upset?" her youngest asked, his innocent blue eyes wide and searching. Sarah forced a smile, her heart breaking. "He is just having a grown-up problem." But the truth hovered like an unwelcome ghost. One evening, after the kids were tucked into bed, Sarah decided she couldn't wait any longer. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through her contacts, and took a deep breath as she hit the dial button. It was time to reach out to one of her father's old friends, Dave. Maybe he had answers. Maybe he knew something about the life her father had kept hidden. The connection was filled with warmth and familiarity, voices binding them in shared sorrow. "Hello, Sarah," Dave said, sounding older than she remembered. As tears threatened to spill, she plunged into her questions: the money, the secrets, her father's past. Dave listened carefully, his silence weighing heavily over the line. "Your father, he was a complicated man," he finally said. "I thought he'd shared everything with you, but there were parts even I was kept away from. He loved you dearly, but he also lived with shadows. Money like that has a story, Sarah, but be careful. There are things better left in the dark." His warning hung in the air, mysterious yet enticing. What shadows? What stories? Questions raced through her mind as she attempted to grasp the implications that texted her father's life had opened up. The next day, with a heart full of trepidation and determination, Sarah made a decision. She needed to dig deeper. No more living in the chaos of uncertainty. She contacted a lawyer to help unravel the tangled threads of her father's estate. If there were hidden gems in her father's legacy, she would discover them, no matter how uncomfortable the truth. That evening, as Sarah stared into the depths of her computer screen searching for clues, her pulse quickened. The digital trail glinted in the soft glow of the monitor as her fingers moved swiftly, typing her inquiries into search engines that promised insight into a world she never knew existed. The door creaked open behind her, Mark's silhouette filling the frame. He stepped inside slowly, uncertainty written all over his face. "What are you doing, Sarah?" he asked. The tension lay heavy between them, unresolved feelings crackling in the air. Her heart raced, fighting against her instinct to shield herself from the confrontation. "I'm uncovering the truth," she responded, her voice steady despite the tremors beneath. Mark took a step forward, eyes darkening with a mix of fear and something else. Was it regret? Was he still the man she had loved? Or was he merely a stranger with a hidden agenda? As they stood on the edge of a precipice, Sarah knew there was no turning back. The quest for answers had begun, and the stakes were escalating. With her father's legacy and her heart hanging in the balance, what truths would she uncover, and at what cost? As the tension tightened between them, she couldn't shake a haunting thought. Was Mark desperate for freedom or trying to escape the monsters of his own making? And as the air thickened with unspoken words, the storm she had sensed earlier surged closer, ready to unleash chaos. The silence in the room piled on top of Sarah, a weight she could almost feel settling in her chest. She could hear the clock ticking, each second tapping out a rhythm of anxiety as Mark's gaze bore into her, searching for something: understanding, acceptance, or perhaps reassurance. Except, she didn't have any of those to offer. "Sarah, I'm afraid of where this is going." His tone was low, vulnerable, almost pleading. "Where is it going, Mark? You tell me." She crossed her arms, a defensive shield against the storm brewing inside her. I didn't want to hurt you. Not now. Not ever," he stammered, frustration lurking behind his eyes. "But I can't keep hiding it." "What are you hiding?" The question came out sharper than she intended, piercing the heavy air that surrounded them. He drew in a deep breath, as though trying to gather up the fragmented pieces of his courage. "Remember what I told you about the investments, the risks?" Her heart raced as memories of their past conversations fluttered back: the late nights with spreadsheets, the blurry lines between work and home. "You mean the ones that lost us everything?" He flinched at her words, pain flickering across his face. "Not everything. Some things were too risky. I had no choice but to play my cards right when your dad passed. There was money tied up I didn't disclose, and I thought it would help." "Help what? You thought lying to me about money would help?" Her voice cracked, frustration bubbling over. Mark raised his hand, a silent plea for her to listen. "I didn't lie. I kept things from you to protect you. To protect us. But it's not just money we lost, Mark. It's trust." The tears brimmed in her eyes. blurring her vision as repressed emotions came flooding back. The room felt suffocating, shimmering under the heat of his next confession. There's more. If I had known about your father's hidden assets before he died. What hidden assets? She could barely breathe now, a mix of fear and curiosity twisting in her gut. Rumors. There was talk of a larger fortune. Something I didn't want to complicate for you. I didn't want to give you false hope when you lost your father. What do you mean rumors? What are you saying? The air buzzed with disbelief. Your dad was involved in things you don't know about, he murmured, his voice trembling now. Things that could change everything for us, for the kids. Why didn't you tell me? The question echoed in the part of her heart she thought was already hollowed out. She couldn't comprehend the weight of secrets Mark had chosen to carry alone. Because I was scared, he replied, his hands trembling. Scared about what I would have to reveal, scared how it might tear us apart. The realization hit her like a slap. You were scared of what I might find. But you were hiding it too. You're desperate to keep your secrets. Mark took a step closer, his eyes searching hers. I love you, Sarah. But I can't face this alone. You need to hear what I uncovered through Dave about your dad. A sense of dread crept down her spine, wrapping around her heart. I don't want to hear any more lies, Mark. As the tension twisted into something sharply tangible, an uneasy desire seeped into her resolve. You have no idea what you might be dragging us into. I'm trying to protect you. Mark's desperation echoed, but she could feel the rift widening, filled with unsaid words, truths layered like the fog outside her window. Sarah stepped back, her heart pulsing with a mix of fear and curiosity. She wasn't sure how much more of this she could endure. Protect me from what? The truth? A heavy silence enveloped them once more, a storm about to engulf their lives. As Sarah fought for clarity within the chaos, one terrifying thought nagged persistently at her mind. In seeking the truth about her father, would she end up unraveling her very own marriage? And with every heartbeat, that question loomed larger. What if Mark's secrets were the very thread that held her family's future on the brink of destruction? A shiver ran through Sarah as the gravity of Mark's words hung in the air. She could feel the tension coiling tighter, the unspoken fears resting heavy on her shoulders. What had her father done? What did it mean for her family now, and for her relationship with Mark? Questions threatened to crumble the fragile foundation of their years together. Mark, sensing her turmoil, urged her to sit down. Please, let us just talk. I didn't want to throw this all at you without explaining. His voice was steadier now, but she could see the shadows of his anxiety dancing in his eyes. She hesitated, but finally lowered herself onto the edge of the couch, heart racing. Okay, talk, she said, trying to manage the ice forming inside her. What did Dave tell you? Mark settled beside her, giving her space, yet inching closer, as if afraid to lose her altogether. He said your dad was part of something big, investments that were more than normal. He left behind documents, blueprints for a fortune that was never mentioned, whispers of a hidden legacy. A multi-million-dollar venture. The words struck her like lightning. What kind of venture? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know the details yet, but there was something powerful, influential. If what Dave said is real, it could change everything for us. Sarah felt as if she was drowning in a tide of emotions: betrayal, hope, confusion. And what about you? What part do you play in this? Mark hesitated, his gaze dropping. I don't know yet. I need to sort this out. I thought it might be a chance for us to fix things. The accusation leapt out before she could hold it back. Is that really what you think? That money can fix our lives? He flinched again. No, it's not about the money. It's about the choices we can make with it. About our future. I don't want a future built on lies, Mark. Her voice rose, thick with suppressed emotion. I need you to be honest with me about everything. Mark nodded, the sincerity in his eyes cutting through the humidity of doubt. I promise. No more secrets. I'll help you find out what your father was involved in. But we have to be careful. Careful. The word landed heavily. We could be stepping into a world we don't understand. A world that could put us or the kids in danger. His hand gripped hers with urgency. I'll do everything I can to protect you. I need you to believe that. As she locked eyes with him, Sarah clung to hope, but the fear still bubbled beneath the surface. The promise of hidden wealth twisted into knots of anxiety in her chest. And what if we find something we wish we hadn't? What if this changes everything, Mark? His determination flickered. Then we face it together. But I can't face the unknown without you. The room felt heavier, both the burden of their history and the looming shadows of the truth. I don't know if I can do this, Sarah admitted, feeling raw and exposed. Please, just try. You're my wife. We can't let this tear us apart. We owe it to ourselves, to the kids. A silence settled in the room again, thick and suffocating. Could they really navigate this treacherous path together? Just then, her phone buzzed from the table, shattering the quiet. She glanced at the screen, her heart dropping. The name on the caller ID sent an unexpected wave of panic surging through her. It was Dave. Will you answer it? Mark asked, curiosity blended with apprehension. Holding her breath, Sarah picked up the phone. What would Dave have to say now? Would it bring them clarity or push them over the edge? As she hit accept, the weight of uncertainty in her hand felt heavier than ever, amplifying her dread. Was this the moment everything would change? Hello? Sarah's voice felt like a whisper slipping through a tight throat. Sarah, it's me, Dave said, sounding both urgent and fragmented. We need to talk. Now. It's about your dad. Her pulse quickened. What about him? I think I found something. It could expose everything what he was really involved in. What do you mean? Her heart raced. Meet me at the cafe down the block. You need to see this for yourself. It's not something I can explain over the phone. Wait, Dave. The line went dead. Panic clawed at her chest, tangled with curiosity. She shot a glance at Mark. He wants me to meet him. He says there's something important. Mark's expression tightened. You shouldn't go alone. I'll come with you. No. Once again, her voice rose, this time fueled by a mix of fear and stubbornness. I need to handle this myself. I'm not sure what I'll find out. I can't drag you into this. Sarah. He took a step closer, frustration brewing in his eyes. You might need me. Whatever this is, it affects both of us. She shook her head, battling an overwhelming urge to cry. This is about my father. I need to get to the bottom of it myself. Fine, but at least let me drive you. Sarah nodded, half relieved he wasn't fighting her anymore. They walked to the car in silence, and her mind raced. What could Dave have found? What had her father hidden beneath layers of secrets? The cafe's exterior came into view, a gentle facade concealing the storm brewing within her. As they pulled into the parking lot, dread settled heavy around her shoulders. Mark parked, but remained still, watching her with those piercing eyes that held both love and concern. You'll be okay, he said, though she could see the uncertainty flickering in his gaze. Just wait for me. She forced a smile, but it barely masked her fears. The bell chimed softly as she entered the cafe, and a wave of warmth washed over her. It was almost a comfort compared to the icy grip of apprehension. In a corner booth, Dave was hunched over a stack of papers, his face a mask of intensity. Sarah, he gestured as she approached, urgency painting his tone. Look at this. You won't believe what I found. As she slid into the booth, her breath hitched. What is it? He laid out the pages, covered in numbers, charts, and notes. These are financial statements. They track your dad's dealings for years. This isn't just about investments. It's deeper, much deeper. Deeper how? Dave traced a finger over the documents. Your dad was linked to people connected in serious money laundering, potential illegal activities. That fortune Mark mentioned? It comes with a lot of red flags. The shock rippled through her like an electric current. No, it can't be. It's all right here. He pressed, his finger landing on a name that froze her in place. And that's not even the worst part. If this gets out, there could be repercussions for your family. Her hands trembled. Repercussions? Everything could fall apart. Your mom, you, and even Mark could be pulled in investigations, inquiries, the works. The room blurred around her as her mind fought to process Dave's words. What do we do? Get this information to a lawyer, someone who knows how to navigate it without getting caught in the crossfire. You can't just hide it. Her heart raced with fear. The anxiety of what her father had done pressed down hard. Nothing made sense anymore. I don't know where to begin. Just take it one step at a time. Together, we can figure it out. But Sarah felt the weight of a larger storm brewing on the horizon. As she stared at the papers before her, something gnawed at her gut, growing into a whispering dread. What if uncovering the truth about her father led to losing everything she loved? Take these. Dave nudged the papers closer. You have to move fast, Sarah. With palms sweating, she grasped the documents, but a new wave of fear surged within her. What truth awaited her? And was she truly ready for it? Walking back to Mark, her mind spun with questions. Would he still want her after uncovering this? Could she trust him not to pull away when the dust settled? As she stepped out, the weight of the world felt heavier than ever. The echoes of her past clashed violently with an uncertain future. Did you find anything? Mark asked, his voice tense with concern. She took a deep breath. Let us talk in the car. As they drove away, the glimmer of hope dimmed under the shadows of potential ruin. What awaited them next? Was it the truth that would rip them apart or bind them closer together? The stakes had never been higher. The next time she faced her father's legacy, it could break her completely. Would it be enough to tear down the walls of their family, or would they rise stronger than ever before? The car's engine hummed softly, a dull background to the chaos inside Sarah's mind. She couldn't shake the heaviness of the papers clenched tightly in her hands. Mark stole glances at her, his expression flipping between worry and frustration. Sarah, you need to tell me what's going on, he finally said, his voice low but firm. What did Dave show you? The words nestled deep in her throat, thick and choked. How could she put it all into perspective? It's my dad, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, involved in something illegal. Money laundering. Mark's brow furrowed. What? That's serious. Are you sure? Did you see any proof? She nodded slowly, recalling the stark pages that revealed a world she never imagined her father was part of. It's not just speculation. There are names, figures. She swallowed hard. I can't believe this is happening. All this time, I thought he was just a businessman. For a moment, a tense silence enveloped them. Mark's grip on the steering wheel tightened. This could change everything. Sarah, what are you going to do? You can't ignore this. I don't know. I'm scared. Emotions flared within her, raw and untamed. What if it means losing our family? My mom, she doesn't know any of this. How could I possibly tell her? Maybe you need to bring her into this, Mark suggested gently, though his words felt like a weight she couldn't bear. She deserves to know the truth. Yeah? And what am I supposed to say? Hey Mom, your husband is a criminal? The bitterness slipped from her lips, filled with sarcasm. I can't do that to her. Another heavy silence fell, punctuated only by the rumble of passing cars. She felt the air thicken around them, suffocating. Maybe we go to a lawyer first. Someone who can guide us, Mark offered, still careful, yet insistent. But what if this lawyer just gives them more reason to dig deeper? The panic rose again, filling her chest with ice. I can't let anything slip. Not now. What if this leads back to us? Sarah, we have to trust someone, or we'll drown in this mess. If you hide this, it could come back to bite you. You can't fight this alone. The truth of his words hung in the air between them. She stared out the window, watching the buildings blur past, trying to focus on anything but the revelations crashing down upon her. I know you want to protect your family, he continued, softer now. But sometimes, we have to face the storm head-on, together. I'm here for you. She turned, confronted by the warmth in his eyes. It struck a chord, igniting a flicker of hope in her heart. Yet the fear was still there, lurking like a shadow. And if Dad is guilty? What if it's worse than we think? What does that mean for us? I don't know, but I do know that your dad's actions don't define who you are, Sarah. We're a team, no matter what. His resolve washed over her, but the uncertainty lingered. Could their love withstand the storm? Could it survive the truth about her father? They pulled into the driveway, and Sarah felt her heart thump loudly. The house loomed ahead, filled with memories of laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the dark secret now pulling them into its depths. Mark parked, and the silence seemed to pulse. You ready? I don't know if I'm ever going to be ready, she admitted, dread pooling in her stomach. The door felt heavy as she reached for the handle, each step toward the house tightening the knot of anxiety lodged in her chest. What if the next conversations shattered the fragile threads that held them together? What lay ahead in this uncertain future? With a deep breath, she stepped out, bracing herself for the truth that awaited her inside, a truth that could break her family apart or bind them in a way they never thought possible. As she walked toward the door, one thought swirled in her mind. Where do we go from here? And will this discovery change everything? The door opened with a creak that echoed through the hallway, as if announcing her arrival back to a world she no longer recognized. Every step felt heavier, weighted down by the knowledge she carried like a leaden cloak. The smell of home cinnamon and wood wrapped around her, but felt painfully distant. "Mom," she called into the quiet house. Her voice bounced back, hollow, sending a shiver down her spine. It was just her and Mark, and the unspoken tension hung palpably in the air. "Maybe she's in the kitchen," Mark suggested, stepping in behind her. As they walked, Sarah's heart raced, thoughts spinning faster than her feet could carry her. What was she going to say? How could she possibly lay this burden on her mom? In the kitchen, her mother stood by the counter, her back turned, busy stirring a pot on the stove. The comforting aroma of chicken soup wafted around the room, but instead of warmth, it felt like a reminder of the comfort that was now unraveling. "Hey, honey," her mother chimed, turning with a bright smile that felt like a stab to Sarah's heart. "How was your day?" Sarah hesitated, the words caught in her throat. She exchanged a glance with Mark, who gave a slight nod of encouragement, urging her to forge ahead. It was eventful. She finally managed, the weight of the world still pressing down on her. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something important." "Oh, is everything okay?" The concern in her mother's eyes made Sarah's heart ache. How could she shatter that look? Not really. The admission left her mouth in a breathless rush. "It's about Dad." The smile slid from her mother's face, replaced by a look of confusion and fear. "What do you mean? Is he okay?" "Mom, please just sit down." With uncertainty etched across her face, her mother obeyed, pulling out a chair with shaking hands. Mark moved closer, positioning himself a few paces behind Sarah, providing silent support as she steeled herself for what came next. "Dad's in trouble. Serious trouble." The words hung heavy in the air, each syllable slicing through the comfortable silence of their home. Sarah's mother paled, her lips parting as if searching for words that wouldn't come. What do you mean?" Sarah took a deep breath. "It's about money. Illegal money." She pulled the papers from her pocket, hands trembling as she laid them on the table. Her mother's hands fluttered to her mouth, eyes wide as she scanned the documents. "Oh my God, no. No, this can't be right. How did you find out?" "I saw them with Dave, Mom. They're real." She struggled to keep her voice steady. "He's involved in money laundering." The kitchen spun as her mother's chair fell back, the sound sharp and piercing like a gunshot. "No, it can't be. We've had a good life. Your father's a good man. Mom, you have to listen to me." Tears slid down her mother's face. "He loves us, Sarah. He would never." "Then why are there names and figures?" The emotion cracked her voice, and she fought to control it. "He's hiding something from us, and we can't ignore it." Mark stepped forward, trying to bring calm. "We have to find out the truth. Together." But her mother shook her head violently, disbelief breaking through the sobs. "Together? You want me to tear our family apart? He would never hurt us." As fragile accusations filled the space between them, an unnoticed clock ticked on the wall, dragging time painfully slow. "Mom, we have to know. It's not just about us anymore. What if the police come knocking? What if we get pulled into this?" Silence fell, heavy and suffocating, until her mother's expression shifted from shock to something resembling determination. "I need to talk to him. I can't believe this without hearing it from him. I have to." Her eyes, once filled with love, now carried something else, a fierce protectiveness tinged with fear, preparing to confront a storm of their family's making. And there it was, the first winding turn in the road. Sarah's heart raced, anxiety mixing with the small hope of understanding. "Mom, wait. What if he isn't the person you think he is?" But her mother, resolute in a way Sarah had never seen before, rose from the table. "I won't let this destroy us without knowing the truth." As her mother strode out of the kitchen, leaving Sarah and Mark in a whirlwind of fear and uncertainty, Sarah realized that this was just the beginning of their unraveling. What would happen when truths began to weave through the fabric of their family? Would the love that had built their lives together be enough to weather the storm, or would it all come crashing down? Sarah felt her pulse racing as she watched her mother stride out, determination etched on her face. She looked at Mark, who was still processing the chaos that had unfolded. In that moment, everything felt fragile, teetering on the edge of something monumental. "Do you think Mom will be okay?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark wrapped an arm around her shoulder, pulling her closer. "I hope so. But we need to prepare for whatever comes next. If Dad is involved in this, it's bigger than we thought." She nodded, fear pooling in her stomach. The thought of confronting her dad, of hearing the truth, made her head spin. "What do we do now?" She questioned, biting her lip. Let us gather some more information, Mark suggested. We need to know what we're dealing with. Right. An uneasy truce formed in her mind, despite the knot that tightened in her chest. They couldn't sit idle. Action was required. Together, they rifled through magazines and documents that had always been mundane. Bill statements, tax returns, and accounts that once felt like windows into their normal lives now seemed like scattered breadcrumbs leading to a dark forest. Each paper felt heavy, like they contained secrets waiting to claw their way out. Sarah, look at this. Mark's voice broke through her cloud of thought. He held a sheet up, eyes wide with realization. This transaction, it's not just small amounts. There are big numbers here, look. She leaned in closer, struggling to focus through her fog of despair. What does it mean? It could mean a lot. Payments from unknown sources, inconsistencies. If he's laundering money, this is how it starts. A wave of sickness washed over her. But he has always been there for us. How could he? We need to assume he can hide what he is doing. That's what criminals do, Mark said, urgency pushing him forward. Sarah's throat tightened. We want to tell Mom. Not yet. She is fragile enough as it is. Agreed. But we need to find him before she does. We can't leave things to chance. Mark's face hardened with resolution. As the sun began to set, the shadows crept in, wrapping around the once familiar kitchen. Each tick of the clock seemed louder, reminding her of the dwindling time they had left. Where do we even start? Sarah asked, panic rising in her chest. Mark thought for a moment, flipping through his phone. Dave. He might know something. He was with your dad more than anyone. Yeah, but going to him feels risky, she replied. Right, but what choice do we have? We need to set up a meeting, discreetly. She hesitated, the weight of her emotions making it hard to breathe. What if Dave was involved too? What if this just opened another Pandora's box? All right, she finally said, shaky but resolved. Let us do it. Each step they took felt like stepping into a minefield, but there was no turning back. An hour later, Mark dialed Dave's number, anxiety tangible in the room. The phone rang, echoing ominously. Hey, Sarah? Mark. What is up? Dave, we need to talk, Mark said, glancing at Sarah, who was holding her breath. Sure. About what? It's about your dad, Mark continued, and Sarah could almost feel the shift in the air like a curtain being drawn back on a dark secret. What about him? Can we meet? It's urgent. A pause on the other end before Dave replied. Yeah, of course. How about tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow works. Mark ended the call, his brow furrowed. Working through the emotions was tough, but now they had a direction, a path to follow. Tomorrow, Sarah said, her voice shaking. Everything changes then. We'll get through this, together, he reassured her, though under his bravado, she saw the same fear reflected in his eyes. As the night deepened around them, all she could think was how tomorrow would unfold. Who would show their true colors? And would they like the truth when it came? The morning light filtered through the kitchen window, casting flickering shadows that danced along the walls. Sarah sat at the table, mind racing with thoughts of her dad, market deals, and looming questions. The haunted look in Mark's eyes mirrored her own unease. Do you think Dave is really going to help us? She asked, her voice quiet, barely cutting through the stillness. Mark leaned back in his chair, rubbing the back of his neck as if trying to push away the tension that had become a constant companion for them both. I don't know. He might be more involved than we think. Or he might just be scared too. The thought settled heavily between them. What if they were placing their hopes in someone who could betray them just as easily? She glanced at the clock. It was just past 7. Time was moving too fast and too slow at the same time. I wish it were already over. I can't handle this waiting. He nodded, me too. But we can't let our guard down. We have to be ready for anything. The plan was still raw, simmering in her mind. They had chosen to confront Dave because, deep down, she felt a shred of loyalty to him, a bond formed from years of shared stories and laughter. But now, each memory felt tarnished as fear gnawed at her heart. As the countdown to their meeting ticked closer, Sarah excused herself and wandered into the living room. Her childhood home was filled with echoes of laughter, warmth, and love, things that now felt fragile. She picked up a picture frame, her fingers grazing the glass that protected a moment in time. Her father's arms around her mother, both smiling and carefree. They used to be a picture of happiness. She wondered when everything began to turn, when the door creaked open, It startled Sarah from her thoughts. Mark stepped in with 2 steaming cups of coffee, a half-hearted smile on his face. I figured we could use this. Feel a little more awake. Thanks. She took a sip, its warmth radiating through her fingers and into her chest. But the comfort of the coffee couldn't ease her fears. Sarah, Mark said carefully, we need to talk. This isn't just about our dad anymore. What do you mean? She set the cup down, looking him straight in the eyes. It's about us too. This secret could change everything between us, your family, our future. A chill ran down her spine, and she gulped hard. What are you saying? If we find out he has done something terrible, we have to decide if we're with him or against him. And if it comes to it, where will we stand together? Her heart thundered. They had never faced anything like this, not in their wildest dreams. All she could think of was the what-if scenarios. What if her father had betrayed them all? What if they had been living a lie? I don't know how I feel about the us in this, she admitted. I love you, but this is complicated. Mark nodded, his eyes filled with empathy. I get it. Just don't close me out. We'll face it together, whatever it is. Promise? Promise. She clutched his hand, grounding herself in that instant, hoping it would be enough. Hours dragged on like molasses as they prepared, running through scenarios, steeling themselves for the confrontation ahead. As the clock struck noon, Sarah felt her stomach flip. It was showtime. They arrived at the cafe where Dave had agreed to meet. The familiar smell of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, yet nothing felt inviting. Anxiety sat heavily on her chest as she spotted Dave across the room, his brow furrowed in concentration. As they walked towards him, every step felt like a leap into the unknown. Hey, Dave waved them over, though Sarah could see the tension in his posture. What is going on? Taking a deep breath, Sarah prepared herself to uncover the truth. Was she ready for what lay ahead? As she opened her mouth to speak, she caught a glimpse of her future unraveling before her. The truth was about to be revealed, but at what cost? Dave's eyes darted between Sarah and Mark, something unspoken weighing heavily on his shoulders. Thanks for coming, he said, his voice too casual for the gravity of the situation. What do you need? Let us cut to it, Sarah urged, steeling herself. What do you know about my father's past? About these documents? She slid the papers across the table, her heart racing. Dave hesitated, glancing around the cafe as if searching for eavesdroppers. I've been digging deep. Your dad was involved in some risky ventures, things that could put you in the crosshairs if they surface. Mark leaned in, his eyes narrowing. Is it true? Is he guilty of money laundering? Look, Dave began, his voice lowering further. Your dad was trying to help, but he got trapped in a world deeper than he realized. Trusts, fake companies. This was to protect you, not hurt you. Protect us? Sarah echoed, disbelief flooding her senses. By keeping secrets? By risking everything? I'm just saying it's complicated. Dave sighed, rubbing his temples. There are shadows he was trying to navigate. I should have told you sooner. But what? We deserve to know. Sarah snapped. Frustration bubbled as the weight of her family's secrets pressed hard against her chest. Mark placed a steadying hand on her arm, calming her. What is next? Can we salvage anything from this? Dave nodded thoughtfully. Maybe. We've got to go about this carefully. You should talk to a lawyer. They can help you find a way to protect yourselves. That's great, but shouldn't you know more? Sarah pressed, her pulse racing. You were close with my dad. His silence filled the space, heavy and suffocating. He did everything to keep you safe. But you have to be cautious. If this information leaks, it could pull your family under. Fear crept back into Sarah's heart. What if all this destroyed her family? She couldn't bear the thought of losing the bonds they had. Sarah, Mark said softly, pulling her back to the present. We need to take control. Let us find a lawyer. Let us do this. With a heavy heart, she nodded. You're right. I want to protect Mom, the kids, us. As they left the cafe, a sense of determination surged through Sarah. Days quickly turned into frantic meetings with lawyers. Each time, the weight of Dave's revelations loomed over her like a dark cloud. Secrets unraveling. Mark, always by her side, became the anchor she needed. Through their late-night talks and wrapped-up embraces, they found ways to face their crumbling lives together, stitching hope back into a tapestry of uncertainty. One evening, weary but resolute, they found themselves on the couch, surrounded by legal documents that promised a way forward. This is so overwhelming, Sarah said, her voice trembling. What if this threatens what we're trying to hold on to? Mark's gaze met hers, depths of love and commitment glimmering in his eyes. We'll make it through. Together, he assured her gently. They locked hands, an unbreakable bond despite the chaos. After weeks of turmoil, they finally made the decision to confront her father. Nerves twisted in her stomach as she went over the evidence with Mark one last time. Are you sure about this? She asked. We have to know, he replied, unwavering. We do this for your family. As they arrived at her parents' house, Sarah's heart raced. The familiar creak of the front door felt foreign now, perhaps even ominous. Her mother was sitting at the kitchen table, looking up with surprise as they entered. Sarah, Mark. Her mother stood, concern painting her features. Is everything okay? With a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward, heart pounding. Mom, we need to talk to Dad. Understanding dawned on her mother's face, a flicker of fear mixed with resolve. Yes, I think we all need to. Just then, her father walked in, his expression shifting from cheerful to bewildered as he saw the serious atmosphere. What is going on? Sarah glanced at Mark, who nodded encouragingly. The moment had arrived. Dad, we need to discuss what has been happening. We found out about the money, about everything. Money? He looked confused, then alarmed. What money? Please, don't hide it. Tears threatened as she pressed on. We've seen the documents. We know you were involved in something illegal. Panic broke across his face. This is not what it seems. Then explain. We deserve to know, she pressed, tears spilling down her cheeks. In that moment, everything hung on a thread. Would he tell the truth? Would this shatter their family? Or could they find a way to heal? Taking a deep breath, her father finally spoke, voice trembling. I wanted to protect you, but you need to understand. The choices I made were to keep our family safe. With those words, Sarah felt the wall of uncertainty break apart, the fragility of their connection revealing unexpected strength. As her father recounted his past, the shadows that once loomed over their family began to fade, revealing opportunities for truth, understanding, and most importantly, healing. I'm sorry for all the secrets, he whispered, eyes brimming with tears. But we can face this together as a family. As love echoed through the kitchen, Sarah held Mark's hand tighter, embracing the possibility of a future rebuilt on honesty and unity. They had fought for each other, for their family, and now they could finally begin to heal. Sometimes, destiny weaves through loss and shadows, only to guide us toward the light. They would rise stronger than ever, forever changed by what they had faced. Now, the path lay ahead, brightening with newfound hope. United, they had each other, and together they would navigate whatever came next. The storm had passed, leaving a beautiful horizon in its place. If this story touched your heart, then you need to subscribe now. Don't wait, not even one more second, to share this transformative journey with others. Leave a like now to support the flow of these powerful narratives, and comment your thoughts and feelings about this emotional ending. You have the power to impact others. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this hope. This is the moment to show your support.